Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Thank you for joining us again, and as promised, we're back in the workshop and we're getting on with the Series 1 Land Rover. Now, I've got, again, a very short amount of time, so we're going to get straight to it, and you join me mid-action. I've got the Defender TD5 outside, and I've got to do an oil change on that, oil and filters, because I may well be doing a long run in that, and that's to be confirmed. We'll know more about that later on. I'll fill you in. I have rubbed down and sprayed another coat of the Porsche Apricot Beige onto the rear tub. I was hoping to not have to, but it looked like it needed it, and there's a couple of bits I wasn't happy with, so I've rubbed it down and sprayed that this morning. That is out in the sun, drying, so all the dust and flies and bugs can stick to the paint and ruin it again. Perfect. Whilst in one hand I'm applying new paint to parts, in the other hand I'm stripping paint off of the original parts, because I'd like to start lining up the bulkhead, which means I kind of want the wing to join the bulkhead to the front panel. The wings are the parts that join those two pieces together. And I've got some repairs to do on the wings, but before we can really see how bad they are, I need to strip the paint off and give them a good clean. I'm very pleased to say that these wings are original to the car. They're quite rare because this is an 88-inch Land Rover. So these are quite rare things, original to the car, and we're going to do our best to keep them, but we do have some repairs to do. So the paint is stripping there, the paint is drying there, the oil is dripping out of the TD5 outside, and we are going to get on with the windscreen frame, which I left last week in pieces. So let's pick that up now and explain what we're going to do. You may well have already heard the roller shutter rattling. It is quite windy outside, so there may well be a fair bit of voiceover in this video. I hope that's okay, but trust me, it will be better than hearing that roller shutter rattle for the entire video. I need to sort that out one day. So, as you can see, the bottom and most of the uprights of my original window frame are okay, really good condition. Yes, they need a clean up and re-galvanizing, but definitely usable, and an original part to the car, which we are obviously over the moon about. The top edge, unfortunately, is completely rotten, and I'm not confident that's going to survive the blasting. So, the plan. I've got to say a huge thank you once again to Jake from JP Restorations up in Stafford, because he's come through with this. He had an original window frame where the bottom half was completely rotten, but the top half was perfect. So he's chopped it off and sent it to me. So now I've got a really nice original top section of a window frame, and I'm going to make a good one out of the two. So we're going to go to the welding bench, chop up the original frame, and try and let in this section. And hopefully once I'm finished, nobody will ever know that I've made one good window frame out of two bad ones. Before I can start attacking the original window frame with the angle grinder, I need to make a wooden template the size of the aperture so I can make sure that the new one goes on in the same place.
Perfect fit. I will just make sure it fits in the other side, because we can never assume with these old cars. And that confirms we are good to start cutting. You can just about see where the original weld is, where this was welded together originally in the factory. And I'm going to be replicating that and cutting on the weld and re-welding the new piece back on that factory weld, keeping everything as it should be. It's going to be a bit more tricky on the back, but let's get cutting. I had already spoken to Jake about how I'm going to attach this, so he has cut past the mitre joint. So the first thing I need to do was clean up the donor piece and cut up to that mitre, cleaning up all the corners, cleaning up all the edges, making sure it's as straight and clean as possible, and of course trying to remove the factory galvanizing. Now the scary bit, I can start cutting up my original window frame. I can do this with complete confidence though, because I've got that wooden template which is going to be so helpful when it comes to welding this back into position. And there we go. Old rusty rotten window frame, gone. Now it's time to clean up what's left of the original frame and prepare that all for welding. I'm being very careful whilst I'm doing this, taking very small amounts off bit by bit and constantly checking it to make sure it's lining up, it's nice and square, and that mitre is as even as I can get it. There is no rushing this. It just takes patience and a lot of time, making sure everything lines up nicely. The initial cuts, as you can see here, did not look great. But after a while, I got there, they lined up nicely, so I could start welding. Now here's a warning, welding anything galvanized is a really bad idea. You can see that white smoke coming off. That is really not good for you. I have got the roller shutters up, the doors open, a through draft, I've got a mask on. I'm being as careful as I can. And I've tried to remove as much of the original galvanizing as possible. But still, this was a horrible, tricky thing to weld. It fought me every step of the way. But I persevered, and look at that. I got there. The window frame is complete. The top section welded in nicely. Once this is plated, you're never going to know that that was replaced.
And that is the window frame completely finished and ready to be galvanized. What a relief that is. That was horrible. I do need to get on to that front wing, but that's still being stripped at the moment, so I can't do that. So I'm going to start something new, and I think that's going to be the pedal assembly. Because to be honest, I should have fitted that already to the chassis before I started building up the body. And I've left it a bit late already. I've been putting it off because I know it's going to be a bit of a fight. But I guess today is that day. So let's dig out the pedal assembly, brace ourselves, and see how bad that is. Because I'm hoping we can save it. Let's have a look.
Oh dear. It's probably no surprise to you by now that these are completely rusty, rotten through, completely seized up, and need a huge amount of work, just like everything else on this Land Rover. So there's only one thing for it. Of course, XCP Professional, they're penetrant. I'm spraying that everywhere to try my best to loosen it and free things up. And eventually, with some persuasion from some hammers, an angle grinder, and of course, some fire, I got it all apart. Eventually. And this is the mess I am left with after a fight trying to get it all taken apart. I've got holes that are wallowed out and opened out and nearly split in half. This is the actual main lever for the brake pedal. I can't believe that is so rusty. It's completely rotten through. How that has gone so rusty, but the clutch lever is okay, I have no idea. I'm tackling the brake lever first. It's the worst one, and I want to see how bad it really is. So I've got the wire wheel on the angle grinder, and that is making short work of any grease and flaky paint and just leaving me with the bare steel. The wire wheel on the angle grinder really takes no prisoners. Anything that is a bit weak and a bit thin, it will flag up. And it has done exactly that. There's two rusty holes in the top, which are clearly old because that plate on the bottom should not actually be there. Someone's tried to fix that in the past. It also exposed two new holes on the back. Although slightly daunting, at least I know what I'm working with now, so I can get to work cutting out the rotten sections neat and square as I can. I've decided to tackle these rusty bits one at a time and get a new piece welded into each one instead of cutting them all out because they are so bad I worry about the actual strength of the brake lever. With the first piece of rot removed, I've got my new section trimmed and fitting quite nicely. It's time to fire up the welder once again and get that welded in place. This brake lever is made of 3mm thick mild steel, so my usual problem of worrying about blowing through and making holes isn't really a concern. The main concern is making sure I've got enough penetration and it's welded all the way through. I'm using my TIG welder for this so I can control the heat and get a nice good weld. I'm quite pleased with that. I'm using a flap disc on my angle grinder to take the worst of the weld off the highest points until I get quite near to the final surface. Then I'll use a file to get it really nice and smooth, and finally some sandpaper, and we're done. That is the first section finished, but I've got 3 more to do, and it's exactly the same process. Cutting out the rot, making a new piece that fits in the gap nicely, hammering and fettling and get it to fit nice and smooth. Once I'm happy with that, I can tack weld it in place with the TIG welder, and then commit and fully weld it in place, controlling the heat the whole time so it doesn't get too hot and start distorting. A quick cleanup with the angle grinder, a little tickle with the file, and we're done. Well, the top end anyway. I need to do all of that again at the bottom because there's 2 more big rusty holes at the other end of the brake lever. But I think that's come out quite nicely. Let's hope the back goes just as well. It's actually really nice to be welding some clean, mild steel for a change, instead of very thin, crumbly bits of aluminium or galvanized pieces of steel. I thought you might be interested to see what I can see through the welding helmet in case you've never welded before in your life. So enjoy this. Let me know what you think and if you'd like to see more POV filming like this. The actual brake and clutch pedals themselves are perfectly fine. A bit of a clean up and some paint, they'll be good. And I'm very pleased to say that is it for the rust repair on the brake and clutch pedal levers. We're done. The wallowed out holes have been welded up and filed round. All of the rust is now gone. We're looking good.
That is all of the welding complete on the pedals, which I'm relieved about. It ended up being a much bigger job than I was expecting, but actually, you know what? Both pedals now look pretty good. I'm chuffed that I can keep them and put the original pedals back on the car. Although I've now got them ground down and cleaned up to bare metal, they're not quite finished yet. I'm going to get all of these parts, including the axle and the nuts and bolts and everything else, and soak it all for a few days in some evaporust to get all of the rust out the inside, because where the metal's bent round to like a U-channel, inside there, which I can't get to, is really rusty. So a good soak for a few days in some evaporust will clear all of that out. And then I can get them painted, reassembled, and fitted to the chassis. But that is not going to happen today because the evaporust process takes a few days, which means it's time to pick up something else. So should we have a look at this front wing? The paint stripper has done pretty well. I've just got the worst few bits to get off with the sander, and let's see if we can actually get it taken apart. Why not start something else? The wings for this Land Rover are actually quite rare because this is an 88-inch Land Rover, and I think they only made that model for 1 year. As far as I'm aware, it's a bit of a sort of transitional model between the Series 1 and the Series 2 because it's when they introduced the diesel engine, and the diesel engines were a bit longer, so the cars went from an 86-inch wheelbase to an 88-inch wheelbase, and that extra 2 inches was added to the front end to allow for the diesel engine. So the wings and the bonnet for this car are quite unique, so it is definitely worth keeping hold of these wings. And this whole time they've been sitting on the workshop floor in the corner, they looked pretty good. But as usual with this Land Rover, once you start digging, things are inevitably going to get worse. And this galvanic corrosion, wherever there's a steel bolt and a steel washer against the aluminium, it has just corroded. So almost every bolt hole on this, including extra bolt holes that people have drilled over the years, are just rotten and brittle and crumbling all around the edge. So there is a fair bit of work to do on these wings, but we have to start somewhere. And I think the best place to start is to grind off and remove all of the extra nuts and bolts that people have put in over the years, holding brackets and wiring, P-clips and all sorts of stuff, extra lights on the front that shouldn't be there, wing mirrors which are in the wrong place on the wing. There's all sorts of things that have happened to this over the years. And don't worry, none of these things are to do with it being experimental from Land Rover. These are just modifications that have happened over the years for, you know, road regulations, including indicators, stuff like that. So they all will be going and will be going back to stock. But that means we've got a lot of work to do grinding out these nuts and bolts. Now I've got all the nuts and bolts removed and I've separated that outer side panel. Let's give it a sand down and see how bad it really is. So I've whizzed over that wing with the DA, which is flat. So if you imagine any low points, it won't remove the paint there. Any high points, it will just take the top of them off. I've done that really so I can see, to exaggerate how distorted and bent and stretched and creased the panel actually is. The issue I've got is this panel should be dead straight. There's no curve or sweeping lines in there. It should just be flat and straight. And every dent means you've stretched the panel. And so by hammering it back, you're potentially going to stretch it even more. And then you end up with a kind of oil canning where there's essentially too much material in the middle of a panel and it tries to bulge out. And if you push it, it pops in and pops out, which is really not good. Shrinking is the only option, which is really tricky in the middle of a flat aluminium panel. Maybe a trip up to Jeff Moss at MPH Motor Panels is on the cards, because I think I might struggle with this. Add into that a few bits of welding here and there, more heat, more distortion. To end up with a flat wing is going to be a challenge, but you know what, I'm up for it, and I'll try the best I can to get it as flat as possible. You may well be wondering why I'm erratically flapping around with various different projects on this Series 1, and there is a reason behind that. Up until now, I've been starting something, finishing it, painting it, and installing it, which has been working really well. But Jake Payne from JP Restorations, who rebuilt my axles for me, hopefully in a couple of weeks, fingers crossed, Jake is going to come down here to the workshop and very kindly give me a couple of days of his time and various nuts and bolts and parts that I need along the way. Between us, we are going to do as much as we can in those 2 days and blitz it and try and get as much done as possible, making full use of the knowledge that Jake has got, because he rebuilds these things for a living, day in, day out, and he is clearly so good at it. There's so many little bits that I'm not quite sure, or I haven't got a bracket, or where does the bracket go? He knows all of that. So I'm trying to prep as many different bits as possible, things like the pedal assembly. So when Jake turns up, I've got a pile of parts ready to install. The pedals, the steering linkage, the brakes, the brake master cylinder, all of that kind of like fiddly stuff. And it may be a little bit ambitious at the moment, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, when Jake gets here, we can try and get it running. That is going to depend on me ordering enough parts, getting enough parts here, and getting through the pile of bits that I need to restore, like the pedal assembly. That hopefully explains why I'm starting 5 different things and not quite finishing anything, because I'm juggling a lot of stuff, trying to get everything prepped for the visit from Jake. So there you go. The cat is out the bag. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, Jake will be here. I've got a few days off of filming, so we're going to be extremely productive. So even though not tons has been done in this video, just you wait. In a couple of weeks, get ready. There is going to be some progress, and we'll be driving this thing around the field before you know it. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to have to sign off the video here, but thank you very much. I really appreciate all the positive comments and all the support you're giving me. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button and subscribe so you get the notifications for when next week's video comes out, because it won't be long before we're driving this around the field. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Sunday at 5 p.m. Bye-bye.